Hello everyone, and welcome to the 40th Objective-C tutorial. In this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how we can use NSPredicate in Objective-C. So, NSPredicate by Apple's definition is a logical operator that returns a Boolean value. And you might be still wondering what the heck that means, but basically it's just a way of comparing one value to another, and if they're true, then it returns yes, and if not, then it returns no. So it's really just, it's kind of like an if statement, but they're a little more powerful. I should say a lot more powerful, but nonetheless, they're used a lot in Cocoa for kind of looking through various strings. So, for example, if you're in your Mac right now and you go to Spotlight or you go to Finder and you search something, it's going to compare those strings to whatever you type in, and so whatever it searches through to figure out what it's going to return. But the point is you can filter through different results comparing strings, and that's kind of what NSPredicate is for. It's really for filtering through a list of results, and then it will return whatever is appropriate with whatever you're comparing it to. So if that still doesn't make too much sense, I guarantee you'll understand it by the end of this tutorial. So you might be wondering why I have all this stuff already commented out. Well, the reason is I just don't want to really bother with it in this tutorial, so I'm going to make you do it ahead of time. So all I've done is gone ahead and added a person class to this project, so you can go ahead and take the time to make this when I'm done explaining it. So it's just a person with a name and an age property, and then I've added this convenience initializer here, which is just init with name, age, and so you can just add the name, copy it in like that, and the age, you can just set the age. And the last important part is the description, and the description simply returns the name of the person and then their age. So that is basically all the person class does, but we're going to be using this person to compare with our NSPredicate. So anyway, once you've finished that all off, you made your new person, then you'll want to import that person class, of course, to your main section here, and you're going to want to add everything that I have in the comments and now not in the comments. So just go ahead once you're done with the person class, and feel free to pause this video. But anyway, once you're done with adding the person class, you'll want to add 5 different people. Or doesn't really matter how many you add, but I added 5 different people, and you can make whoever you want. You don't have to copy what I have, but once you're done, just throw them in an array, and you'll be good to go. So once we've done that, I'm going to show you now how we can use an NSPredicate. So to create an NSPredicate, you might kind of already figured this out by Objective-C isms, but NSPredicate, we're just going to create a predicate. And we're going to say NSPredicate, predicate with format, and the format we're going to use will be, well, whatever we want to compare. So if we want to compare, say, let's look at maybe the age value in our person. So if I want to look at the age value, I just type in the age key, so just type in age, and that will compare the key value of our person, so to look at the age key, and then it will compare whatever that gives us back. So age, we're going to say any age that is less than 400. And then what this will do is when we go to evaluate this with something else, we can compare whatever the age of our person is, and we'll compare it to 400. If it's less than 400, it's true, and if it's not, then it's false. So how can we compare these? Well, we're going to go through a nice little for-in loop, and what we're going to do is go through all the people in our people array, and what we're going to do is just nslog all their values. So %d, we use %d because the NSPredicate will return a bool, which is 1 or a 0. So what we're going to do is compare every person in our people array with this predicate. So we'll say predicate evaluate with object, and then we will compare it with the p. So that's all we have to do to compare the predicate with our p object. So let's go ahead and run this here, and you'll see how this works. So as you can see, we get a result, and everything is 1, which means it's true, except for Yoda. And obviously that's true because Yoda's age is 900, which is not less than 400, so it is false, and therefore it returns 0. Everything else returns 1, because the predicate, when it evaluates with whatever objects in our array, it was true for all the other ones because they were less than 400 years old. So that's cool, and we'll leave it at that. So that is how you can the simplest way anyway of using a predicate to compare with another object. So you might be saying, well, that's cool, but I could do this with an if statement and just see if the age of the person is less than 400. And you're right, this isn't really anything special, but NSPredicate obviously is much more powerful than this simple example here. So we'll leave our predicate right there, but let's say we want to use our predicate to filter out a new array. So we'll try to create an array with every age that's less than 400. So now this is a little more powerful. So how can we do this? Well, we're going to use NSArray. We're going to create a new array called filtered array. And what are we going to do with this? Well, we want to take whatever is in the people array, and we're going to filter it out. So we'll say people filtered array using predicate, and we'll just throw in our predicate. So you might be wondering, well, where does this method come from? You probably aren't wondering, but I'm going to tell you anyway because I think it's cool to know. Filtered array using predicate is not actually part of the NSArray class, even though you can find it in the NSArray class and it's added on to the NSArray class. It's actually defined in the NSPredicate class. So if any of you ever wondered why categories were useful in Objective-C, this is the awesome power of categories in Objective-C, because basically the predicate class adds this filtered array using predicate method to the NSArray class just by adding a category. If you forget how categories work, you can look back in that tutorial, but basically what the cool thing about this is the predicate class doesn't really have to know anything about NSArray. It can just add this filtered array using predicate class, and then on top of that we don't have to subclass NSArray, and we don't want to do that anyway. So the predicate class nicely adds this nice convenient method for us, and we don't even have to subclass NSArray. We can just use whatever this nice method was from the NSPredicate class. Anyway, I just thought that was a neat note about why geez, I'm losing my train of thought, but why categories are useful in Objective-C. Alright, so anyway, now that we have that, we're going to continue on here, and we're just going to log out our new array. So we'll say filtered array, and we'll go ahead and run this. And as you can see, we get every object in our people array, except for, of course, the one that was greater than 400, which was our Yoda, who is 900 years old. Alright, so that's, it shows a little more power for NSPredicate, but what else can we do with NSPredicate? Well, we can do a lot more. So let's say we want to compare the string value of our name. So we'll use the name key. So we'll compare the object, we'll look at its key value of name, and we're going to say, well, is this name equal to something else? So let's say I want to compare this name, and I'm going to compare it to Matt. So obviously if the name value of our person is equivalent to Matt, then it will be true. And if it's not, then obviously it's going to be false. So we can run this, and you can see that the filtered results only return Matt, and Matt is 16 years old. Alright, so now that we have that, we could continue on here, and let's say, for example, think about if I was, typing this into some kind of search engine, and I type in just lowercase Matt, and I go to run this now, and we go to compare, and you can see, oh geez, there goes Matt, and now we don't have anybody in this array. But really, I did want to include Matt. I didn't have the upper case letter, and so we can do a nice extra thing in NSPredicate, and we can use the case insensitive addition or whatever to NSPredicate. And how this works is we just put it in these square brackets. This has nothing to do with message sending or calling a method in Objective-C. It's just part of NSPredicate format. And so we can just say the square brackets, and we'll put in a C, which means now we're going to do a case insensitive compare, which means it doesn't matter if it's uppercase or lowercase, it would work just fine. So we can compare this, and you can see now we get our map back because the C means we're comparing it case insensitively. Alright, so now let's do another example. Let's say, I don't know, I throw in for some reason I have a character and I throw in the cedilla on my name like that. And so I'm comparing my name like this, Lucas, and it's case insensitive. But when I go to run this, since I have that cedilla on my C, you can see that this predicate is not going to add my name to the list, basically because I had this accent in my name. So how could I include accents? Well, there's also another nice little, I guess you'd call it parameter, I'm not really sure what they're considered, but you can just add the D option to your predicate like this, and this means now it's diacritic insensitive, which means it doesn't concern itself with accents. So if I had an accent on like an E like you'd have in French, or some kind of umlaut in German, something like that, it means it would just skip over that and it would still include, it would just look at just the normal letter basically. So if I go ahead and run this, you can see now that my name is added back to the list, and the only reason it's printing out like this is because I'm logging the NS array. If you actually go to print out the person object, it would print normally, but anyway, the point still is remaining. This is just Unicode for the cedilla, but anyway, the point is that the diacritic insensitive, all I have to do is add the D, and now it looks at my name ignoring the accents. Alright, so that's nice and all. So let's see what else we can do with this. So let's say I want to compare the length of my name, so I can compare the length of the string. I could say something like this, name.length, and I can compare the length of the name. So let's say I want to filter out any name, and I'm going to find all the names that are less than 5. So I can just compare it like that. Let's see what we get. So we get Yoda, Matt, and Z, and obviously Jesse and me are filtered out of this because our name lengths are less than are 5, so they're not less than 5. Alright, so anyway, that's another neat example of it. Now there's even more cool things you can do with strings as well. So for example, if I want to compare maybe that the name begins with something or it ends with something, I can use the begins with keyword, and I could make it case insensitive if I wanted to as well, and then I can just compare, let's say it starts with YO. And so I should also make an important note on this, is that when you're using just, if you're putting strings into your format just to compare a string, then you can do single quotes like this and it will just act as a normal string would in Objective-C. So just when you're adding strings, make sure you're just putting it around the single quotes like that. If you don't do that, then it is going to look like a key path or key value, which is not what we want. So anyway, that's just a note that's fairly important when you're using strings. But anyway, we can use this begins with keyword like that, and then you can see that since it was case insensitive as well, we get Yoda since it begins with YO. Now, let's see some other ones that we can do with. We can do with ends with as well, like that. And we can just say, let's see, what can we use? Well, yeah, we don't really have any duplicates in there, but we can just use my name, for example, and we'll compare that, and you can see that since it ends with AS, it works fine. Now, I should say as well that it does look at the very end of the string. So if I was to say just A for this case, and I run this, my name will now be filtered out just because it has an A near the end. It doesn't matter. It's looking at the very last character in this, which is the A, and if it doesn't have that last string, if it's not exactly equal, then it's not going to evaluate to be true. So I can also use contains, which is another useful one. I can say if it contains an A, then it will be evaluated, and so it filters through everything. Anything that has an A is included in the list. So there's even a little bit more that we can work with. There's actually a fair amount more, but I'm not going to show you everything in this tutorial just because I can't really go through everything. But let's just look at one more keyword here, which is the like keyword. And like is kind of neat because you can add some different parameters to it as well. So let's say I want to look for a letter or a thing that is 4 characters long exactly, and it ends with an A. So I could use 3 question marks before my A, and this would mean that before the A there are exactly 3 characters before this A, and I want to find exactly a name that ends with an A that has those 3 characters before it. So I could run this, and as you might have guessed, we get Yoda, because nothing else actually has the 3 characters before the A except for Yoda. Now, if I ran this though, and I put exactly 4 characters in front of it, that would mean that it would expect 4 characters now. And as you can see, it gets rid of Yoda because Yoda obviously didn't have 4 characters before the A. So that's how you can use the question marks with this like keyword right here. Now, if I want to say, well, I just want to have an A somewhere in this thing, and I can use the star ahead of it. So let's just do another example here. If I want to use, let's say I want to have 1 letter before the A, and I'll have a star after the A to indicate that I'll have everything. And let's just change this to E for the sake of it. So I'll go ahead and run this. If I run this, we can see that I get Jesse because Jesse has a J in front of this E, which is 1 character, and then the star indicates that I can have as many characters after that as I want. So that's how that works there. Now, one other nice thing you might notice is that, well, this is a predicate with format, so obviously I can format this if I wanted to as well. And that's true, you can. So let's say, for example, I want to throw in int of age, and I just want to compare, I'll throw in 18, and basically that will, give my integer of age. And if I wanted to compare, let's go back to comparing my age here. So if the age is less than, let's say equal to 18, not 18, we want to put in our integer 18. So I can use the format specifiers that we do like when we're NS logging or anything else. I can use %d, and I can just throw in my age like that. And so when I go to compare this, as you can see, we get Lucas and Z because we're the only ones that are exactly 18 on here, and I can just leave it like that and it'll filter all that stuff out. So anyway, that is a fairly brief run through of NSPredicate, but you can see how this can be useful. You can basically, if you've ever really searched for anything on Mac OS, you can see how NSPredicate is basically kind of how stuff searches in Mac OS. Maybe not exactly, but a lot of the keywords are the same. I'm sure you've seen the begins with and contains thing if you've ever done any advanced search stuff in not Objective-C in Mac OS. But you can see how NSPredicate is fairly powerful for searching through arrays, and I can show you later in the Cocoa series as well how we can filter through a list of results, only displaying the ones that are filtered with whatever we search through. So anyway, that will be obviously for another tutorial, but I hope you got the gist of how NSPredicate works. It's simply a logical operator that compares 2 values, and then you can return yes if it's true and no if it's not. And just before I go, I'm going to show you one more thing that we can do with this. Let's just say I'm looking for, I'm going to go through, so I want to compare to see if I've got, I want to see if my age is less than 400, and I want to see if my name is, we'll just do my name I guess for this example. My name is Lucas. So anyway, we'll go through that example. We'll go ahead and run this, and I don't need the age parameter obviously because I'm not putting anything in, but if I go ahead and run this, we can see that when I build and run, and oops, let's try this again, build and run, there we go, and there's my name. Lucas is 18 years old because obviously my age is less than 400 and my name is Lucas. And I can also use the OR operator as well, and this would obviously filter through everything that is true for either of those examples. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions, feel free to leave your questions or comments in the comments section below. Please subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in an upcoming tutorial.